Hello there, Sarah from 17 once again. This is my Marvel Spider-Man Spectacular Difficulty video walkthrough. This is Streets of Poison, and we're going to be doing it no damage. So cover the distance to the objective, and then we're going to be starting a pretty interesting hallucinogenic episode. So, I don't know too much about Scorpion, other than he turned up in the cartoon a lot and got bodied. But in the game, they kind of portray him as a scarecrow-like figure who wants to fuck with Peter, and I have no idea if this is something that happens in Spider-Man a lot, where he gets dosed and he sees weird stuff. But this is the part of the game where you essentially do the Ra's al Ghul section, and it's okay. It's not too difficult. It's one of those sequences that looks quite pretty. It looks like nothing else in the game, so it's got the diversity going for it. And I suppose you could call it a boss fight in the grand scheme of gimmicky boss fights, but I wouldn't really, because it's just kind of an environmental puzzle. But you're not playing as Mary Jane, so I have to see the quality in that. But once you get to this building, you're going to get stung by Scorpion, and then the world is going to fill with poison. And if you go into the water at any point, you will take incredible damage, so be very careful here, guys. Additionally, can we just say, does this game have the best looking water in video games? Because outside of a couple of choice examples on PC, this has the nicest looking water I've ever seen. It just looks absolutely superb, especially with the right lighting and at the right time of day. It's just, I've never seen anything like it. It looks so goddamn good. It looks really good. But what will happen here, folks, is Scorpion tails are going to come out of the miasma beneath us, the grand river of poison. And if the tail says circle, you have to press circle pretty much. There are instances where you can be moving so quickly you can pass it and you don't have to, but for every instance that will happen, you'll get hit, because it's one of those things. It's kind of like the guns in this game. They don't seem to take into consideration the speed of your mobility. Instead, they seem to opt for just this idea that when circle's on the screen, if you don't press it, you take damage. And I've been hit by Scorpion stingers that missed my character's model because I was behind them. And I don't know why that works that way, but if you see circle, your best bet is to press it. And I kind of wish that wasn't the case, because the whole point in moving really fast in a game with good movement is that it should give you a benefit, and one of those benefits should perhaps be that all the fucking aimbot nutters in this game shouldn't be able to shoot you perfectly with expert tracking. Like, can you imagine if the guns were projectile? It'd fix a lot of problems, right? But, and I mean, they do feel projectile at times, because they definitely have travel speed, right? But it's travel speed in such a short period of time that it practically feels like hit scan anyway. But then you run the risk, don't you? If you slow the bullets down too much, they look silly. But did you see it just then? I technically could have continued swinging and got behind that stinger, but it's just not worth it, folks. But it's interesting that this exists, doesn't it? Because I don't really understand. There's two parts of this game that use the interesting, like, crazy spectrum of visuals. There's the negative sequences with Mr. Lee, and then there's the poison sequences with Scorpion. And, like, did this happen in a comic? I'd love to know if this happened in a comic, because that would be awesome. But if it didn't, it really, really feels like that they super enjoyed the Scarecrow sections in Arkham, and they wanted more of those. And I think the Scarecrow sections are pretty interesting the first time, but they're the part of the game that is the least replayable in my opinion, because they're just kind of lame. Like, this is interesting too. The ability to zip directly to geometry. I really like this move. It's something I don't use enough on the Predator sequences and stuff, because there's times when it doesn't feel like it works, but when it does work, it's very empowering. And another thing that's strange, you can't run on this wall. If you hold the trigger here, it doesn't seem to do the thing it normally does, which seems unusual. But keep on moving, keep on hooking to cover to cover. Maybe I did it wrong, because I ran just then, but I know I tried and I found it a bit disjointed that it wouldn't let me. Maybe this is technically like a cutscene, so they don't want you doing those things. I'm not sure. But once you drop down here, you come over to this. It's going to do another one of those flashy things, and then you're going to have to cover more Poisonous City. which at this point is kind of the gimmick of the level, right? However, this particular piece of traversal, you're going to notice that the stingers are a lot more aggressive and a lot more frequent. So once again, use circle as much as you can, because if you don't, you can end up getting yourself in trouble. And I don't know, it's one of those things. Do you like these sections, guys? Are these parts that you think enrich the game? Do you think this makes it a better game when these sections exist? Because me personally, I would have preferred just a boss fight. And of course, you could argue that this is a boss fight, but it's not the kind of boss fight I would have wanted. And then once you get bombarded by the nine-tail stinger, when you come down here, it's pretty much the end of the mission, because now you get to fight the sequence. So, no more poison now. Now it's time to fight this phantom scorpion. So in this area, when he turns up, if you web him up, he'll fall off, and then when you press triangle and you punch him, he'll disappear. And this is just introducing you to the concept of what you're going to be doing next. Following this glowing spark, and then this spark is going to spawn more scorpions. And then in the next arena, there's going to be several of them. And you need to be careful here, because I got clipped immediately by somebody from behind. So try to keep your head on a swivel, look out for your spider senses, and just divide and conquer. The one cool thing about this mission is that it's going to teach you how to deal with Scorpion, because in the next mission you're going to be taking Scorpion on with Rhino, and Rhino is not exactly the most dangerous opponent, but he can get in the way, so having a decent understanding of what Scorpion does was a really clever role, like a really clever move, sorry, by Insomniac, because it's teaching you the tools you need for the fight that's coming up, and you don't even realise it yet. So I really, really like that design. I think that's very clever. That said, Scorpion is about as fundamentally simple as it gets. He's got 2 attacks. It's kind of sad, really. But keep on hitting them. Don't waste your focus, you don't need to. You can use it on the last one if you want, and I think I probably will, just for the stylish ender. Yeah, there we go. Just get him dunked with a kick to the face. Some of those animations are superb. And then touch the PC, and that's the end of the mission. Thank you for watching. You take care now.
Moving. Hope that's the last of them. I can barely stand up. There's the equipment I need.